Wake up and let's go to the Mindless Morning Show.
Crazy lady speaking. And good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Mindless Morning Show. I am here with my co-host Dakota, as always, and we have a very special guest, somebody who I thought was going to dress up today, but it's okay. No, I'm just kidding. We have Utahime. So you'll be able to find all her links, all her stuff.
I like to say I'm dressed up as, a civilian, the villagers that you see out and about, in a D&D setting, yes,
that's
I'm a normie.
I prefer that.
Yeah.
I'm no
cosplaying
longer
a normie.
Yeah, I'm no longer me. I am another individual. And Dakota, who are you here as?
I guess I have an alternate personality with my real name since Dakota's my middle name. So today I can be Elijah for all the viewers out there.
There you go. Yeah. And so for those of you who don't know anything about cosplay or Utahime, she is an incredible cosplayer. I've been going through a lot of your stuff, and I mean, I got like a miniature list here, kind of miniature.
Oh, right on.
of some of the ones I've seen and really loved. I mean, you did Katana from Mortal Kombat, which is amazing. Psylocke from X-Men. Shell from Road to El Dorado. I felt like that was a forgotten movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
One of the good ones that people forget. Underrated.
I was scrolling through, and my girlfriend Jordan was looking at it, and she was like, "Oh, that's the El Dorado chick," and I was like,
"Yeah."
And more importantly, you did Ash from Overwatch.
Heck yeah.
I love Overwatch. I mean, I have 6 of the characters tattooed on me.
Oh my god!
So
that's hardcore. That's awesome. I love it.
But I have to admit, my absolute favorite, because this was like the one Disney princess that I absolutely had like that crush on, was Pocahontas.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, there's just so many more. You guys are going to have to check out her Instagram. Fantastic work that you do. I mean, it truly is an art.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. I always anytime people enjoy my work, I'm always really happy, and I'm grateful that you guys are even looking at my stuff. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
and so I gotta ask, do you do like kids parties?
I used to, actually. So that was
Nice.
one of my mini gigs. I like to joke around and say that I have lived many lives. I've done a lot of different things, including like dancing professionally for Indian dance companies. I've done fitness classes. Like I used to teach them. I've done improv with Second City. Like I've done so many different things. I'm like, yeah, let's just add that.
Awesome.
It's one of the many things that I can add to that list.
Not at all.
But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It's one of those things where you're making a memory for a kid's, that the kid's going to remember like for a long time. They're like, oh, I remember that time that Princess Tiana came and it was awesome and everybody had a good time and we were playing games. Like you want to give that special experience to the kids. And it's really fun that, I had a chance to do that, whenever somebody wanted Tiana or another princess.
In your craft, though, like you don't do it cheap. Like you do it really well, and so like to those kids, you're literally like almost out of the screen for them. I mean, that's awesome. So I mean, it's definitely not like those like weird videos you typically see online where they're like they bought their costume at like some really cheap, weird looking, it's totally like off market kind of.
Well, I can't take credit for the costumes, at least for the parties, because that actually comes from the company. So they invest in actually getting those designed and having us wear the princess garb or whatever we're wearing, fairy if we're doing Tinkerbell or something, and we can accessorize it so we can kind of add our own bit to it. And obviously, if we're singing or if we're dancing, I used to do Moana a lot as well, teaching the kids hula and other things, it's things like that, so just making it a full experience.
So
really cool.
with that, with your like normal cosplay stuff, do you make all of the costumes and everything yourself then, or?
No, so the thing is that a lot of people don't know there's so many different ways that you can cosplay. You can literally, if you want to grab things from your closet, Amazon, that's always a great resource. I definitely have done that for different casual looks, and also too for a lot of my D&D and TTRPG streams. I definitely put looks together from Amazon.
Nice.
No, I
That's
actually
awesome.
commissioned my my good friends to actually create the costumes that you guys see. So I work with them. I go fabric shopping with them. You know, I'm there in some cases, you know, if they need me to cut the patterns or whatever. But for me, because of the fact that I am not skilled in that to that degree, or I don't have a 3D printer and those things, I go to the people in the community who are experts at their craft, and we put together works of art. I like to say, because it's a way to express yourself, and it is an art form to me. So it's great because it's like I get to rock and be like, I'm rocking my friends, you know, armor pieces. Go check out their stuff, buy from them, etc. So it's great because we're all working together in the community to bring
really cool.
some life to the fandoms in a fun way.
And I mean, it sounds like it's probably a pretty fun process going out and doing all of that with friends and people in the community anyways. So.
For sure. Yeah.
So what is cosplay to you?
So again, like kind of what I was going into a little bit, cosplay is, to me, it's an art form. It's a way to express your love for fandoms and to bring it to life in a fun way that also two fellow fans can enjoy, if it's kids or adults even, especially at cons. You have people of all ages who absolutely love when people like myself dress up as their favorite characters, and you get a chance to geek out together, and it's a sense of community that's built based off of that. So it's a really, really awesome thing that I always tell people, if you've ever thought about trying to do it, just go for it. Even if it doesn't matter if it's, again, it's for all levels. So I do say, even if it's literally just a cape and you're wearing a cape and some goggles, whatever, however you want to do it, you express your love for the fandom the way that you would like to. So it can be, again, you can make it all yourself. You can, commission, you can thrift, you can pull things from your closet, put it together. It's all about just, expressing yourself. And again, just that passion for the various fandoms that, you know and love. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. So how long have you been doing cosplay?
So as far as actually trying to take it somewhat more serious than just a casual type thing at Halloween, it was back in 2014. That was when I went to my very first convention, and I decided to dress up. I was like, if I'm going to my first convention, I'm going to do the thing, because I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, and I wasn't a part of the con scene there. I didn't have any friends who were into the same things, and that to that degree, as far as dressing up or going to conventions. And a lot of them weren't really into comic books or anime, or, some of them were, but they weren't, maybe to that where they were going to go and hang out at the convention. So I didn't even know that they were taking place at the time, but I would see it on TV. So New York Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con. And it wasn't until I moved to California and started kind of settling in and learning more about the scene here that I decided to just go for it. I didn't know anyone when I went. So I literally was just, all right, optimistic. Let's see how this goes. And I met fellow fans at Anime Expo. It was the biggest convention that you could possibly go to at the time. And it was just so much fun. And people were really nice. No one stole my phone when I said, hey, can you take a photo of me over here with this cosplayer? And they didn't run away with it. So I was like, okay, cool. We got cool people who aren't going to steal your things. And when
it always seems so.
I mean, not
so
saying
fun.
to do that all the time. I'm just saying that I lucked out where I was just geeking out and nerding out to that degree that luckily I ran into the right people and felt comfortable enough to do that. But I made friends along the way, and then the rest is history. So
yeah. Josh, have you never been to a Comic-Con or anything like that?
No.
What? Oh,
Bucket list. You gotta add
Man,
it.
It honestly has
seriously.
been, and it's mainly because it's just so expensive, and it's always
It
around
can
the
be.
worst time of the year for me.
They're not.
It
They're not
can
that
be.
expensive though. Just
It
get
depends.
a general admission ticket, go in, and
Yeah,
have
no.
a good
General
time,
admission
man.
is cheap. It can be affordable, but there's so much I want to do there, and I don't want to torture myself because I'll be that crazy fan. Like, oh my god!
Well, I always say
$80
start at a
ticket.
smaller convention. Like, I went full out. I went to the largest convention in one of the largest in California, and I went in cosplay and didn't know it. Usually that's not the way to do it. Usually you try to go, if you can, with some friends who also too are interested in doing it.
Right.
You can go by yourself if you are comfortable enough to do it, but you can start at a local, like, smaller con, and there's lots of those, which I didn't learn until much later, but there's so many that take place around, now that it's opening up again,
Yeah.
coming from the
Right.
pandemic, and now things are opening up again. There's so many different choices as far as, like, if you're into comic books, if you're into horror, if you're into anime, you have so many different options for different types of cons you can go to, and some of them are not that, some of them are $10 for entrance, and you can spend, save up to spend money on figurines or whatever you want to spend money on, merch, shirts and things like
Right.
that. Because we all love good graphic tee. I know. I do.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, it's just, again, it's about your own, how you want your first experience to be. And if it is just saving up, if you want to go to one of those big cons, because it is a lot, it's, it's like the hotel and sometimes flight or travel and things like that. But it's all about just kind of planning. And if you have at least one that was on your bucket list, then it's worth it in the end. I always tell people it's worth it because at least you had that experience. And if you hate it, then you don't have to do it again.
Yeah.
But most of the time, that's not the case.
Yeah, no, there's no way I could absolutely hate it. And I mean, I live in Orlando, so there's quite a few good conventions here.
Yes.
Yeah, you're in a perfect spot,
You are
man.
at one of my favorites is Holiday Matsuri. I was a guest at Holiday Matsuri before the pandemic hit, and it is absolutely amazing. I love it, and it's Christmas themed, so it's really cool because you see a lot of unique cosplays where it's
that's really
Christmas inspired, so like Overwatch, but it's it's like a
Like
Santa
Christmas.
version of Soldier 76 or
That'd be
like that.
cool.
It's so
That
cool.
sounds
It's
so
a lot of
cool.
fun, and it's nice because the weather is not like Chicago,
Oh, God.
so you get to be out by the pool and
I feel like
take
you're
photos and have fun.
Cosplay makeup would melt off before you get into the building, waiting in line.
Setting
or something.
spray, and setting powder. Best friend.
Okay.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
I know.
Yes.
So there's
Like-
tricks to the trade.
Yes.
All right.
So, and you're probably gonna hate me a little for this, but one of the biggest things is I'm so bad with anime. I don't watch anime. I don't know
No,
much
that's fine.
anime.
It's a shame.
That-
I feel
that
like I
is-
would walk around not knowing what half of who people are. I'm like, who are they supposed to be?
but they would still
yeah.
look cool.
Well, the good thing about Holiday Matsuri is that it's a mixture of different fandoms. So, it's you'll see Star Wars cosplayers and, again, Overwatch cosplayers. I saw a lot when I went, and you see, just various, from all different, types of fandom and comic books and whatever else. And some of them are Christmas themed. Some of them are just regular to just the character as they are, that and love. But yeah, no, it depends on what you're into. But with Holiday Matsuri, the awesome thing is that it's a mixture of different fandoms. So that's the cool thing. I mean, It is anime. It is a lot of anime, but at the same time, it's very welcoming to all different types of fandoms. So don't limit yourself.
Which would you say out of all the Comic-Con or all the cons that you've been to would be your favorite or your least favorite?
Oh my gosh. I can't say, like, it's one of those things where it's like asking someone, pick your favorite child. That's a really hard
Easy.
question.
I only got one. So.
I have a fur baby, so I just have one. So there we go. But no, I think that one that's just close to my heart would probably be Anime Expo, because it was literally the first con that I ever went to, and that sent me on that downward spiral of wanting to go to more conventions and dress up more. And also too, it was one of the first big, I was a guest at Anime Expo, so it was kind of full circle for me, and I was one of the cosplay senpais, and that was a whole new thing because it really was something that was just an honor and privilege because it was people from the community who wanted to see me there. And being someone who hadn't been cosplaying for as long as some people had, it basically was just one of those things where you're like, wow, people really love and respect my work, and that means a lot to me, and they feel like I'm a positive light in the community. And so those opportunities coming from Anime Expo, of course, I'm going to say that that's one of my close ones to my heart. But as far as all of the different ones, again, Holiday Matsuri was amazing, an absolutely amazing experience. The staff, my fellow guests, everybody the whole experience was amazing. My mom was with me for that, and she had a blast. So, it's hard to say. I can't say that there's like, and I went to New York Comic Con. That was a fun one that I got to bring my brother, who was kind of my handler and just overall just keeping me on schedule and coming with me and making sure I ate, because that's a thing that you forget to hydrate and eat often.
Yeah,
but
I imagine.
so all of those memories, dude, I can't narrow it down. All of these different places, because you meet so many different people from different communities. It's hard to pinpoint your favorite and least favorite, because I've learned and met so many awesome people from each of those experiences. I'm like, I can't narrow it down. I really can't.
Yeah, I mean, I get that for sure. I mean, I wouldn't be able to. I know, like, because I'm like one of those nerds that like kind of live through the fucking screen over here. I like watch these videos. I'm like, oh wow, that's really cool. Oh, this is cool. Yeah. And
so, is it easier to pick a least favorite one then?
No, you know what? I don't know. It's because literally I went from not even really knowing that there was a con scene to all of a sudden, especially out here in California where it's a plethora, just your choice, like choose your fandom or your, specialty, and there's a con for it. And I was just like, what? Like, I didn't even know that there's a con, but I haven't gone to this con, but I didn't know there was a con for My Little Pony fans. And there actually is. So that's the thing. Yes. So that's what I'm saying is that I didn't know about this, but yet I loved all these different things. But you find out and you're like, this is amazing. This is really cool. So it's like, how can you say like, oh, I don't like this? I mean, well, maybe that wasn't for you, but there's always going to be another one that you love.
Would it be cheap if I like went as Bob from Bob's Burgers?
No, dude, I've seen so many people rock that, and I've seen people do Tina, and then the like little.
Oh man, I would love to dance like that. I can't.
that was my regret, man.
It's scary.
That was my regret when we went to the Denver Comic Con and we were gonna go as Mario and Luigi. We were like,
great.
We were like, oh, that'd be weird though. We ended up not going. We saw like we saw like 3 other groups dressed like that with 2 people. We're like, oh man, like we should have done it.
Yeah,
so,
you guys could have done the Spider-Man meme and like been pointing.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. So
missed opportunity. But next time,
if you go, you definitely got to go all out, dress up as something. Because
dude, I'm going all out. Like I'm gonna be like. I'm gonna tap into like my kids' college fund and like get some autographs.
Oh dang!
Okay. I better see like a real like dope costume then from you. Like you're like the whole Transformer one, but like you get out of metal that goes down.
No, those things are insane, and I can't imagine like the long wait you got to go through with like people's insecurities, searching that thing, making sure you don't got nothing crazy going on.
Everybody wants to take a picture with you if you got a good costume.
Oh yeah. That too.
That's always fun. That's always fun.
Maybe I'll walk around in like one of those like those morph suits. It'll just be a black one. I'm just a shadow. I'm everybody's shadow, like following around.
Well, it's funny because I did, speaking of Overwatch, I did cosplay as Symmetra, and I did a video with a friend of mine, D Pity, and I was at Anime Expo, but he was wearing one of those like suits, so he was pretending to be like her photon gun, like the beams from her gun.
Nice.
And like attaching onto people, like, obviously getting consent to like bother people, but it was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious because you just see this guy in a blue like suit, like face cover, everything, and then just like running after people, and then I'm basically like holding the gun, pretending that he's my beam. But yeah, it's stuff like that.
funny.
That's again.
Right.
Only at a con. And I'm glad that cons are coming back. And, of course, it's going to be a little different because of safety reasons, being cautious. But it's just awesome that it's slowly but surely coming back. And, I can't wait to finally get back to it, hopefully.
And you had mentioned consent there, and I know like that's like a big problem at some cons or like with just some people in general where they just they feel it's okay to just come up, touch people and things like that.
Yeah.
And have you had any like of those kind of experiences?
Yes, unfortunately, I think that most of even male cosplayers can experience it as well. It's just one of those things where I think that sometimes there's a bit of a disconnect because people do get really excited and we love taking photos and shaking hands and sometimes like as long as it's not a lingering hug or like we will sometimes again you always want to ask.
Did you just sniff me?
Yeah, it's like just ask consent first, but sometimes it's that disconnect of reality versus fantasy, and we have to remember that there's someone behind the mask, behind the suit, the outfit, and even if it's considered a sexier cosplay, it doesn't matter. It's one of those things where you respect people's boundaries and the fact that they're doing this. It's because of the fact that they're passionate about obviously the fandom and their art, and being respectful that, they are a person too. Like it's like being mindful, like, would you want to be treated that way,
100%.
grabbed or, those things, keeping those things in mind and being respectful at all times. And most of the time we're very much like excited that you guys are excited about what we're wearing and we love talking with people and the photos and things like that. But again, even with the photos, we want to be mindful of the upskirt shots and the different things that are not appropriate because it's you have people of all ages as well who are cosplaying as these various characters. So it's things like that, understanding that everyone has boundaries and to not cross those and being respectful because we are people too. So yeah, just always keeping that in mind.
Just came to me who I'm gonna be. I'm gonna bring my daughter with me. She's only like 2 right now. I'm gonna be Big Daddy from BioShock.
I was just gonna say it. I was
Nice.
like, BioShock.
I'll just power drill people. Like, stay away.
I knew it. I was about to say it.
But luckily, for the most part, I will say that it's gotten better. It's still some work to be done, but I feel like in the community, a lot of people have been standing up and speaking out if they see something, and never be afraid to talk to if you are uncomfortable or feeling like your personal space was violated in any way. Going to con organizers and the security and having conversations and making sure that you let people know, so not being silent about it, because that's something that will happen, is that a lot of people freeze up because a lot of us we're nerds, a lot of us are introverts, and the way that we kind of get out of our shells a bit, it's a way of performing in a way. So when you're cosplaying, you are taking on that persona, or you're maybe a little bit braver than you normally are because you're dressed as Superman. Whatever the case may be, it's sometimes you do freeze up in those moments and you don't know what to do, but just know that the community is there to support you.
100%. Yeah, and for any listeners that do attend these cons and you're being a creeper, cut that shit out.
Yeah, seriously. Don't do that.
We'll find you.
Don't ruin it for everybody else.
Big Daddy will come for you. So when you're in character, are you do you keep the persona of the character you are, or are you still you to a degree?
It depends. There's times when, especially if we're doing any type of like cosplay video, music video, those kind of things for photos, I will definitely do a lot of the signature poses, maybe some of my own mixed in there, because I do have, obviously, as I said before, I'm a professional dancer, but also too, I'm trained in martial arts, which comes in handy for a lot of those fun characters like Korra from Legend of Korra. So, I really like emulating the character. You don't have to do that. And not everyone is comfortable doing that. Sometimes people just want to dress up and that they want to be left alone. They don't even want to take photos, and that's totally fine. But for myself, I do really enjoy bringing the character to life and using movement. And if I can do certain voices, I'll try. And, it's always, a good time when I can kind of make someone's day and like, oh, like you had that down. I'm like, thanks. Yeah. Like I was trying to practice, those little nuances down. But, I will try to add those elements to it. And even for something like a masquerade, which I've been a part of, which is cosplay competitions, that's often something that judges look at. So it's always good to keep that in mind if you're trying to compete to, again, you want to showcase by bringing that character to life on a big stage. So keeping those things in mind and even looking up videos or clips or, even if it's sketches or art of those characters and getting a few moves down, it's always helpful.
So I guess going off all of that, who's the character you've had the most fun portraying?
Oh my gosh. I think, one of them would definitely be, I always say Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy. Nice. And that one was a lot of fun because I also too got to cosplay with my friends who were the rest of the Guardians. And awesome. we got to meet Stan Lee. We got to be on the Marvel main stage at San Diego Comic-Con. And also too, I got to meet Zoe Saldana herself on the purple carpet. So it's one of those things that I'm like, I never in a million, if somebody told me, just because you dress up as like a character, you get these opportunities, I would have been like, you're crazy. Yeah, what? Huh?
I wasn't expecting that answer. So now rewind. How was meeting Stan Lee and Zoe Saldana? Because that's pretty.
Oh no, it was mind blowing. But it's funny because of the fact that it's because I had so much fun basically portraying the character that she portrayed. It's great that I had that privilege of being there and like getting to like take photos, even though in those photos I was totally smiling like ear to ear with her and we're like oh my god, like pointing at each other because it's like it's hard to not do that. We were a little bit more in character for the Marvel main stage when we first met Stan Lee, but going to his birthday party was a little bit more relaxed, but we did a lot of photos and videos.
What's his birthday?
I know, I'm over there like, whoa. I got into the wrong stuff, man. I should have been cosplaying since I got out of high school.
I was living. That was like, seriously. If I never cosplay again, I have accomplished what many people in the nerd community would say is like the epitome of like the goals in life. Like
it's impossible now.
So rest in peace. Yes, rest in power. So it's one of those things that those memories will always stay with me. So that's why I'm like, never knock it till you try it, because you might meet some. You never know. You might run into. I've heard many cases where people were dressed up as certain characters and they were walking down the halls of San Diego Comic-Con and they met the character that the actor who the actor saw them portraying their character and they're like, and photos, you see those moments. Man. So you never know. It's one of those things you never know what will happen until you do it. So I always say just do it. It's cheesy, but like Nike says, just do it.
Just do it and have fun.
Incredible. I'm super jealous.
So jealous. I would be like, I have my friends and I had a buddy that opened a comic book store. If he made it to that and was at Stan Lee's birthday, he would be like, I've made it. This is all I need. I don't need anything else.
I thought that was enough. And then when I got to be at both of the premieres for Avengers, Infinity Wars, and Endgame, I just was like, someone just pinch me. Pinch me again. What is happening?
If I go to a con and you happen to be there, we're gonna need to borrow somebody's sword. I'm gonna do like one of those nice bows. I need you to like knight me just so that I can say like she went to Stanley's birthday. It's cool.
No, but I know people. It's crazy because there's certain people that I know who are really close friends with him, and that I'm like, that is mine. Like, so it's one of those things where it's like, it's really interesting the different opportunities you get from literally doing what you love. And I say that in any aspect of your life, do what you're passionate about. or try to pursue that, because you always wonder what if. And I'm so glad that in my life I basically just was like, I'm gonna do as many things as I want, and that's why I'm like,
yeah.
that's why I said I've lived many lifetimes, because I've done all these things, but at least it's like I can say I did it or tried. Even if I failed at it, at least I tried.
Yeah, you go to one of those fortune tellers or whatever that like will tell you your past life. They're like, wow, I don't know how to read all this. This is a lot.
Whoa.
I don't think I've ever had anybody here like this. Yeah, I mean, and certainly you always have to keep doing what you love, because I mean, the only reason I keep this podcast up is I love meeting people like you. I love meeting so many different types of people from all walks of life. Everyone has a great story, and
sure.
I think it's one of the most incredible things to just sit here and listen to it all. I mean, and man, still kind of hung up on the Stan Lee thing.
I know.
I'm not gonna lie.
I'm sorry. I was like that. As far as a character that I was thinking, I was like that. Basically, in doing so, really cool stuff happened. Gamora is the epitome of that for me. That was really awesome.
That's awesome.
And that was at least the most memories of, and me painting myself green. And at first, fun. I had to learn. That process was definitely a learning. There was a learning curve for painting yourself for sure. Taking 5 hours versus cutting it down to 2.5. Learning those things by practicing and getting advice from other cosplayers and learning how to get better at your craft, which it doesn't happen overnight. And so it's like little things like that.
Was that something you and the other Gamora bonded about, was the green paint? Because I remember her coming out and saying how hard it was to do that. So
yeah, no, the best moment when she came up to me and she was like, can I touch you? And I'm like, yeah, of course.
Yes,
beautiful
please.
Lady, goddess, Zoe
absolutely.
Saldana. So she touched my face, and then she checked. She did like a check to see, like, is this girl melting? Probably to see if she could give me a hug. And she's like, oh, and then she gave me a high five, and I have it recorded. You can find it on my Instagram and my Facebook.
Nice.
Because those moments are important, guys.
I'm going to go check that out.
And she's like high-fiving me, and I'm like, thank you. Like, I thought I was going to melt before I saw her, because she was some of the last as far as to go on the carpet. So I was worried that I would be totally just like, because it was hot that day, and I was wearing leather and upon layer leather and the makeup, and I was just like, oh my God, like I just hope that I look okay by the time that she hits the carpet. And I even get a chance to see her, because some people just got kind of rushed and pushed straight into the premiere, but other actors really took time to kind of say hello, because they saw us there cosplaying as their characters, which was really cool. It was really awesome.
That is really cool. And I mean, now I'm even more hyped up to get to a con now. Like,
yeah, dude, that's why I was telling you, man. I mean, I wasn't going off of all of that. Now I want to start going again more. I was just like fan experience. It was cool, but man, I was going to
COVID con, and I'm going to be dressed up as COVID. Just gonna be a little COVID molecule floating around.
Oh my God.
Nobody will go near me.
have your daughter attached to you.
Oh man. So all right. Well, before we get to these questions, I will say, because for those of you that don't know, so I had found you through there was a charity stream for Canadian cancer research. I believe it was Andrea's Adventures.
Adventure Dice, yeah.
Okay.
Andrea's Adventures, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I had tuned into that stream because of a friend of mine. She had mentioned it to us. And then I log in and I see right away, I see what I had deemed Bambi's mother.
Which was hilarious. That comment, I was trying not to laugh on camera because I saw it and I was dying.
It was a great costume. So you are into DnD and other tabletop RPGs, and at this moment you were playing DnD as Cutie Lighthoof.
Yes.
And so you guys definitely need to look it up. If you go to her Instagram, it's like almost instant you'll know who Cutie Love is. It was great. So yeah, some of these next questions come from a fellow fair you may know as Zip.
Yes.
Okay. And she says hello, by the way. So do you tend to prefer certain character tropes in the characters that you do?
I wouldn't say I usually I try not to go for the tropes. There's sometimes I will do, like if there's something that I really wanted to do as far as that was inspired from fandoms that I love, I'll be like, okay, this is kind of inspired by like Artemis and Young Justice. Like I want to do a character that's kind of like that, an archer, awesome. Blah, blah, blah. And, then I'll kind of go off of that, but I usually try to keep my characters all a little bit different. Like they're not all the same, because I feel like that gets monotonous and I don't want to ever, just kind of stick with the same thing. I want to challenge myself to think outside the box. So I try not to do that as much as possible. A lot of my characters do tend to be strong female characters, at least, just in my whole time doing D&D and tabletop RPGs. There are a lot of really strong characters. If it's just they're maybe not physically strong but they're mentally strong or like kind of witty or whatever, I'll play off of that sometimes. But yeah, I try my best to try to again have more ideas that are my own as much as possible. But it's you're bound to fall into something that you've seen at some point, because it's really hard to they always think of a very unique idea when you have multiple games in a week. So it depends on the situation for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, and so this question I'm going to try and not butcher because I don't know anything about makeup, but
I thought this was your question.
She didn't know that.
Sorry.
What is your preferred brand of makeup, and do you prefer creams over shadows?
Oh, interesting. Okay. No one's ever asked this question before. Now, it depends on if we're talking about like what I use for Gamora. If it's a type of character where I'm using like actual body paint, those kind of things, I love Miran. Miran has a lot of, for me, I have very sensitive skin, so I use water base, which some people don't do the water base because it can run, but I use the setting powder or setting spray in order to really lock it. So again, like how Zoe tested to see if the green was coming off, it didn't, because of the fact that I made sure that I was like set, like just all over, I was like, there is nothing that's going to be melting today. And it helps, especially with hot weather. When it comes to normal, just beauty makeup, I definitely have used a lot of different things. I use Il Macage, which they have really, really good foundations, especially for people like me. I'm multiracial, so it's really hard to match my skin tone. I have used L'Oreal, like, you can get it from any drugstore, because again, they were one of the few that actually had my skin tone. I know I have friends who've used Rihanna's Fenty line and loved it. I haven't used her stuff yet, but like when I have the extra moolah to afford the Fenty, definitely want to check it out. As far as like eyeshadows go, I don't really use creams, so that's something that I don't use for that. The Miron is kind of like a cream. When you wet it, it kind of comes off like a cream, so that's a little different because that's body paint, so it is going to be that consistency. But as far as regular makeup goes, it's at least eyeshadows, it's not usually cream. It's like the powders.
Okay, let me write that down.
I gotta take notes real quick.
But everybody's method is different. Like again, I'm not an expert by any means compared to some. I have friends who are they are specifically makeup artists and do special effects makeup, and they can really get into, if you're trying to do that kind of stuff. If you're talking about beauty or basic, body paint application, that's what's worked for me. And I use Ben Nye, their setting spray, and their powder. So that's nice. Really good. Yeah. Cool. And also to use some setting spray I actually use a cheaper one, but for my just regular beauty makeup, but setting spray just in general is your best friend. It stays for a while. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I'm learning about setting spray for the first time today. That's what I'm taking away.
I know the things you never think about, but again, that's what the guys who are cosplayers in our community, they use the exact same stuff that the ladies do, and they're like, setting spray, setting powder is your best friend.
I mean, if I plan to be the Hulk, I will do it.
Yeah.
See, I was going Shrek. You're over here with the Hulk.
I like Hulk. I have a Hulk statue over there, so that's what came
Hulk
to mind.
Smash.
Yeah. Plus, I was trying to think of like who would I need to be, or who would I want to be that actually has.
That's a perfect example.
Color.
That's like everything. Yeah, you want to like get all in the crevices, all everywhere.
That would definitely be challenging for me because I'm really weird about having things on me like that. Like if I get my daughter's food on, like her puree on me, she does the same thing too. So I know she gets it from me. Like if it gets on you, like
sounds like body paint's probably not going to be for you.
Probably not.
Well, it's like, and then you learn, like for example, like I learned about using eyeshadow for, you can use eyeshadows to kind of add some definition and different, like to add elements to it to make it look more natural and not just flat, so it's kind of like to highlight and to kind of, create cheekbones, to kind of do like, if you want to add muscle tone, you can use shadows and things like that. That's also too how a lot of people make abs.
Wow, bro, you worked out a lot.
It's like, yeah, I did. It's like
my abs would be like super 3D. They'd be like, whoa.
It's like COVID 20. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, I'm rocking the dad bod and COVID. Yeah, it's all here.
Yeah.
So, what is your go-to cosplay advice if you haven't mentioned it before?
I would say, because I don't take this bit of advice, because I already said just do it. That's my spiel, and it's very cheesy, and I already said that a million times. And I'll say it again, just do it. But I will also say something that I really need to do more of is try to make sure that you do self-care at cons, because you can get going and you're doing a lot of things. You're meeting up with your friends. Somebody wants you to take photos of you, and then you have to go run to a panel if you're on the panel, or if you're trying to watch the panel, or you're doing all these different things that it's easy to forget to hydrate, which is during the summer months is very dangerous. And people have been taken out on stretchers because they have literally passed out from dehydration. Making sure that you have, some snacks, that you're taking care of yourself as far as making sure you're eating. And I know that it can be expensive if you're eating at a convention center. So, and sometimes you're not able to bring in food. It depends on the convention center and their rules. But if you can even just take a second to go back to the hotel or where you're staying, or a friend's place, or like whatever restaurant is nearby, even if it's, McDonald's isn't the healthiest, but at the same time, it's fast food, something. It's something to keep you fueled. And, we'd like to say having a little kit, like even if it's like a fanny pack or a bag or something where you have these different things, if it's, maybe a small bottle of water and snacks, Band-Aids, because especially with ladies, when we wear heels, sometimes we don't try them on beforehand. We just go to the con and we're like, oh God. And the back of your ankle is just ripped to shreds. All these little things, even for guys, if you guys are walking around with wearing, even if you're like cosplaying somebody from 300 and you have on gladiator sandals, and it's just for some reason you scratch up your foot trying to do the like, we are Sparta, whatever happens, at least you have these different things that are with you. Even if it's like a friend or somebody who can hold those things for you, if you don't have pockets or anything like that. It's helpful. Just self-care. Try to take care of yourself as much as you can.
Yeah, that's important.
So
to last.
Like if you can, depending on the costume you're wearing, try and implement the camelback with you. I think that would be helpful.
fanny pack, some sort of
I love
backpack.
the good fanny pack. I have rocked that for Psylocke. I have rocked the black fanny pack.
Nice.
I have done that for my favorite time where I incorporated the fanny pack into the cosplay was when I did Yes from Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, that was awesome, by the way.
I had
Yeah.
a fanny pack, which was not in the photo, but I had it where it actually was the same material. It looked like the same material as the suit itself. And basically I rocked that. I had like all the things that I needed, you know, even if it's like, you know, the wig glue, whatever, everything was in that pack ready to go, including snacks. And it was the best. I was like, man, this is what we always have to remember. Make sure to have a fanny pack or either pockets hidden somewhere. I don't know where, but
See,
you know,
that would be a really awesome cosplay idea for somebody to be somebody that hasn't been made yet. The cosplay mama. So like they walk around like, do you need water? Like just something really cool, like where they have
like
everything you could possibly need. Yeah,
there are a lot of people there. That's an actual thing. Like I had a friend of mine, Sergeant Swift Stitch. Oh my God, I have no words. I can speak.
Swift. Say that. Yeah, say that 5 times fast.
And yes, they used to actually go around and they had their telephone number that you could text. If you had a cosplay emergency, they would go and help repair your cosplay or help you in whatever way you needed help. And there are people like that who go to cons just to kind of help out. And it's really cool because it's like they're angels in the community. We're just like, thank you. God bless you. You are the best. And there's a lot of con moms too these days. So a lot of con moms, including my mom, who will be like, did you forget to eat? You look like you're wavering a bit. A piece of bread? What do you need?
Eat a piece of bread.
Eat something.
That's so funny. Yeah, no, I mean that's really cool. I mean that would probably be me. I would try to help people out if I can in some way. I'd make it cool though. Like gotta have
it's like something.
Some kind of costume. I'm not just gonna walk around like, does anybody need anything? Hello?
Hello? You got it? So kind of, I know we mentioned earlier with like some of the like not so good fan experiences, but I guess do you have any of like really fun or crazy fan experiences that were really memorable to you or that were just really good that you can't forget?
I think, well, one that I always talk about, and I think it's because it was earlier on when I first really started cosplaying. And it, you know, being a person of color, you know, it's really important to let other people in the community know, hey, it doesn't matter the color of your skin, you know, you can cosplay these characters, and it's not insert ethnicity version of that character. You just are that character. And I think it's getting people out of that mindset of thinking that everything has to be canon, like exactly like that. You know, that's not what it's about. And I've seen so many really amazing cosplayers of all different ethnicities, and it would be a shame to basically just, you know, say that, oh, that's not a good cosplay because they're not, you know, the way that they should, you know, they're not the right shade. It's like, no, get out of here. It's beautiful. that is Superman. That is Inuyasha, whoever, you know, that's period. And
nobody
as long as you're doing things respectfully.
Great show.
But I remember that there was a girl who came up to me and you know, and she said that I inspired her because she felt like as a person of color, she could actually cosplay too. And it was something that, you know, she's like, you know, I'm going to cosplay because I see that you're doing it and I love your work and you inspire me, and you don't know how many people that you inspire, but you know, I wanted to let you know that I'm one of them. And that was something where I'm like, basically like trying not to ruin my makeup and cry. And I was just kind of, you know, it meant so much to me that, you know, it kind of goes even deeper than that, because it's like people seeing themselves, you know, reflected, you know, kind of like seeing, oh, I can do that, and being inspired. And I think that's why, for example, like, you know, why Black Panther was so monumental is that you had African-American young men who were like, I can be a prince, I could be a king, like I can be a hero, and seeing that, and it's those things that we always, we sometimes can forget, but it's so important, because it's something that's necessary in our community to know that diversity and inclusion, that always there has to be an emphasis on that, because we're all nerds. We all love our fandoms, and, we all get a chance to be a part of this community, and we're better if we're all, everyone's included in that, and not just, certain groups, so that was something that definitely has stuck with me. And I always try to encourage people to know that however they want to represent the character, they can do that. If they want to do a type of ethnic hairstyle with their cosplay, if they want to wear wigs, not wear wigs, contacts, no contacts, whatever, you be who you are, and show your love the way that you for the characters that you had, the way that you want to show and express it. So
that's awesome and amazing, great advice for everybody out there.
Yeah, and beautifully said, because people got to know that, do you, be you, have fun, and I've never been to these cons yet, unfortunately, so I can't say much, but I would always advocate for everyone to be themselves no matter what, and do what feels right for you. Exactly. Unless you're going and touching random people, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
don't do that part. Don't do that part.
Don't do that.
And so I know we're running short on time here. I just wanted to ask, because I had seen that you had played somebody for a D&D character with Fallout theme. Are there Fallout themed D&Ds?
Yes. So the awesome thing is that I discovered this because also too it's something that I'm new to. I'm new to this community, D&D and TTRPGs, because before the pandemic hit, the only type of role-playing game that I had played was RuneQuest, and that was years before. And then work kind of got in the way of me being able to play regularly. So then I couldn't play with my friends because it just schedules conflicted, which does still happen with D&D and TTRPGs often, with just home games in general. It can be tough to kind of keep it going. But that was my only introduction to tabletop role-playing games, because again, in Chicago, like a lot of my friends, I didn't know anyone who played D&D or any role-playing game, or LARPing, any of that. And it wasn't until much later, and when the pandemic hit, that was kind of like our roommate actually was like, hey, I know that you guys were talking about wanting to learn Dungeons and Dragons. Like, we have all the time now. And it's like, okay, let's do it, because I just didn't have the time to sit down, because also too, I was going to conventions and traveling. And so it was like working a 9 to 5. And then also too, on the weekends, I was dressing up as different characters at conventions and doing panels and things. So it was no time in between to really learn the mechanics. And then I finally got a chance to do it. And I fell in love with it. It was so much fun. I was like, oh, this is so cool, because you create these characters and kind of put your own spin on this. And it was great. And I discovered there's so many different types. There's a Star Trek TTRPG. There's Star Wars. There's so many different things. And I was just like, I didn't know that this existed. So again, Fallout was another one. I'm a gamer, but I never actually played the Fallout games. So before leading up to it, my friend during the pandemic, my one friend Alicia Marie was like, hey, there's a campaign that I'm a part of, and it's Fallout themed. It's like Wasteland, like if you think of Wasteland Weekend, which we do have Wasteland Weekend out here in California, and I'm very familiar with like Mad Max vibes, that kind of thing. Nice. She's described it like that, and I was like, oh, that sounds epic. Like, okay. I haven't played those games. Do they mind that I'm newer to D&D, and I'm not as familiar with that franchise? And she was like, yeah, no, they're totally down. They just want people who are enthusiastic and good at role play. And I know that you can do it. You've done acting stuff, you can. And I was like, sure, yeah, let me go for it. And literally it was so funny, because that kind of brought me into the community. And I play a character who is a super mutant. Her name is Ash, and she's known as the Bone Crusher because she used to do underground fighting, like arena fighting, like gladiator style. If you think of Mad Max and literally the dome, that kind of vibe, just crushing skulls, just like showing no mercy. That was basically the character that I decided to play. I was like, I want to play this character, but I added so many different things to her backstory, which are still being revealed even to this day. Nice. Since it first started, we actually switched. We were doing a system that was created. It was a D&D adaptation by Spilled Ale Studios. Now we switched because Modifius actually created a tabletop role-playing game based on like a D20, their D20 system, where it's a little bit different, and it's definitely more in detail as far as like you have the hit locations like you do in the game, and there's a lot of detail taken as far as just like the world of Fallout in general. So it's even more focused than the other. Like basically, it's still great. So if you want to do the D&D, if D&D is kind of that's where your brain you're like that's what's most relatable. I definitely suggest that. If you want to try something totally different, it's a newer system that's coming out, Modifius. Definitely check it out because we play it every Monday on the initiative order at 6 p.m. It's so much fun. It's called Vault. So that's the name of our show. And it's so much fun. And it's been a blast because it's just this ragtag group of misfits banded together, trying to search for the next job to survive in the wasteland. So it's been really wild. And I've learned a lot about the series because of this. So it's really cool because it's like you can mix gaming with the D&D or TTRPG, which is awesome. Like I played a melee where it was level 20 versions of Mortal Kombat characters, and I got to play as Katana and do like some of her voice lines and act as Katana and fight against Sub-Zero and Scorpion and Mylena, and it was just that was epic too. So it's like you there's so many different options when it comes to tabletop role-playing games in general these days. It's sky's the limit pretty much.
I need to go find a Mass Effect tabletop RPG.
I think they do have one. I know they have a Horizon Zero Dawn one as well. So it exists.
Man.
It's just look it up. It's probably out there. I'm excited for the Avatar: The Last Airbender one that's coming out. Magpie Games is doing it, and I'm so excited because the moment that drops, I'm telling you, I'm on it. I am on it.
We'll be in touch.
Hit us up.
Grikachu, she introduced me to D&D. I've always been interested in it, but I never knew anybody that played it. And then she had asked like, "Hey, would you be interested to do a one-off?" And I was like, "Yes."
Yeah.
So like Jordan, they all walked me through it, and it was a great time. Like I had so much fun just building my character, getting the idea together, and then just going through the one shot, which actually will be released.
Awesome.
For those listening, it's released now, so check out Agents of Damned. I think actually you had to be their Patreon. I forgot. I should know that.
Subscribe to the Patreon to get the access.
For sure. I know it comes out for everyone else.
Support your creators.
I think afterwards, so maybe it's a little after, but definitely go be their Patreon because one, they deserve the support, and two, it's just such a fun time. But I had so much fun, and I've just had this like bug itching at me. Like I'm like, I need to play more. This was so much fun.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah, you get that bug, that itch. So it's great because it for me, I get to also to cosplay when I do a lot of these streams. So it's combining all of these different things that I've kind of accumulated in my lifetime as far as like improv and bringing out some of my acting skills that I learned from way back when to try to create these characters and make it fun and bring the characters to life. And then, also to, all of these different elements from, some fandoms that I love. And, so it's just come full circle. So it's really, really awesome that I can kind of do all of these different things and absolutely. Weekly. It's fun.
That's awesome. And I mean, so I mean, cause you have incredible talents as far as like creating these characters. And then when you were playing QD Lightfoot or Lighthoof, sorry, I have to, wrong feet. I have to address the fact that I literally thought, cause you had such a hardcore Southern accent on her. I was like, wow. And then like at one point you did talk almost normal, and I was like, not like normal, but
Yeah.
completely different from that. And I was like, oh, wait a minute.
You're like,
And I
whoa.
was like, she's not Southern. And I was so thrown off.
Hey y'all, how
Yeah.
y'all doing today? And then it was
That's
just like,
it.
hey, okay, so do I
Nice.
roll for perception? And you're
Yeah.
like, what? What is happening here?
It threw me off because I was listening, and then I was just like, wait a minute. Is
I
she?
try not to do that, and then sometimes I'm like, sometimes I'll slip, and I'm like, wait, and I'm like, oh wait, okay, let me. And so I
That's
will try to go
hilarious.
back into I'll try to keep the accent every now and again. I totally my brain, because I was actually, if I'm thinking about one thing, sometimes you're that part of your brain that was doing the accent kind of like
Yeah.
clicks off, and you're like, oh wait, and you click it back on. It happens. I mean, sometimes our accents change. Like, so I've had friends who've done like they were supposed to do an Irish accent, and they changed to Scottish, and then back to Irish again. I mean, it happens.
It's hard.
It's live
hard.
stream, so you never know what's going to happen. But
For sure.
it's usually just it's fine. Just keep going and
Yeah.
have fun with it.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
By the time I tuned in, you were at it for a good while, and I was like, wow, that is a really strong accent. I'm like, I wonder where she's from. And then, yeah, all of a sudden it like broke away
Yes.
for just a moment, and I was like, oh, what?
I'm happy to hear that, because I'm not good with the accents, and so the southern
That was good. I was gonna say that was
accent
really
is the only thing that I've been kind of practicing, because I can't do all the other fun stuff that other people can do. But hopefully one day, maybe, I don't know, I'll just
one
come
day.
out. But
No,
and so I'm
it
like,
was-
thank you. I'm
It
glad.
was good.
I'm
You,
so
you had
glad.
me sold for a really long time, and then I was like, okay.
I got you.
So, well, I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I'm so sorry on our timing here, our lack of time.
No way.
Hey, whoa! Don't throw me into that. That was you.
Yeah. Shut up. But hopefully we can have you back sometime. Maybe we can do like a mindless one shot. I'll try and
Dude.
see.
Oh, that'd be
I'm
fun.
in.
I'll see if I can get I can bug Jordan to be the dungeon master for us. 'Cause-
And then for that, then I won't be just a civilian random villager number 3. I will be whatever character. If Cutie makes an appearance again, or someone else.
Yeah, we would have
you
to
never
do
know.
it where we start the episode, nobody can see the cameras, and then as we're introduced, like, and we don't even know who we're gonna be prior, and then also we just pop up. So we can capture everyone's reactions. It'd be fun. So
Good time.
well, I thank you so much for spending time and with us and talking about
Thank you for having me.
the
Thank you.
beautiful cosplay culture that's
Yeah,
out there,
seriously.
because I really feel like it's something that's highly overlooked and not so much talked about in
Yeah.
Yeah.
the open world. It's almost like kind of like tight knit.
No, I definitely learned a lot that I didn't know about today about
Yay.
all kinds of stuff that I was like,
And
I thought I knew.
There's pets can cosplay, kids can cosplay, adults, the elderly, doesn't matter what age, again, what ethnicity, what walk of life, whatever, gender band, gender swap, crossplay, whatever you want to do, like, as long as
Just
you're doing
do
it
it.
respectfully, do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, everyone, you know what to do. Check out the links below and stay mindless.
Stay mindless.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Mindless Morning Show. We appreciate you picking us out of the many great podcasts out there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that little bell to get notified whenever we release a new episode or bonus content. Now go enjoy the rest of your mindless day.